Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Diana and the Book Hunt. In today's video, I'm going to take you through all of the books that I managed to finish within the Romance Takeover Readathon that was kindly organized by four amazing booktubers. We have Tiff from Tiff Talks Pages, we have Christi from Christi Reads a Lot, we have Rachel from Rachel Reads and Sings, and Jenn from The Book Refuge. These four amazing ladies made it so easy to have an engaging and amazing time throughout this week of reading, so I'm going to link their handles down below, and I'm going to be checking out their I hope they do wrap-ups or a reading vlog that they're going to do for this week. I'm doing a wrap-up because throughout the week I had a very hectic week and it was impossible for me to film a reading vlog, so I'm just going to talk you through all the books that I managed to finish within this week. And I actually had 7 books that I managed to finish, and all of them were within the prompts that were given for this readathon. And then I also had a DNF, unfortunately, but I'm going to talk about this book shortly as well. So there were so many prompts that all of us could follow through, and there was a bingo card that we could fill in if we managed to read books with all the prompts that were given. And I did have a bingo in the end. I'm going to show you the little screenshot that I took of it so you can see which prompts I followed. And I'm going to talk about all the books, and I'm going to have my laptop with me because for some of the books that I read, it's very difficult for me to explain what the books are about, especially when it comes to fantasy and paranormal. It's difficult for me to talk about those tropes in general because I'm a newbie when it comes to those tropes. The first book that I picked up for the readathon is Mr. Romance by Leisa Rayven. This book I found out about, I think, on Bree's channel quite a while ago, but I'd completely forgotten that I have it on my TBR until I recently found out that I have it on Storytel as an audiobook, and an audiobook is actually one of the prompts for the read-along, or readathon, I'm sorry. So I decided to pick it up and I really didn't know anything about it. And this author is actually an author that I've never read anything by, so it covers one of the other prompts that was available on the bingo card. So I had 2 prompts within one book, which was good enough for me. And I knew nothing about this book because I don't remember anything that I saw on Bree's vlog, because it was really a while ago that I watched it. And I was really taken by surprise by this book. I gave it 5 stars. It was such a marvelous story. We have an investigative reporter who is stuck at her workplace at this position that she doesn't want to have. She wants to work her way through being like more of a hotshot reporter, but she doesn't get the opportunity to do so because her boss is kind of a dickhead, and she's kind of looking for the next big story that she can cover so she can prove her worth to her employer. And she finds out about Mr. Romance, about this guy who is kind of fulfilling every woman's fantasy in terms of going on dates. So he's like a high-end escort. They pay like a lot of money for his service because he is just going above and beyond to fulfill women's fantasies, like almost like the perfect type of book boyfriend for the different settings that every woman needs. He takes them on very specific dates, really gets into character, and it's not really about a sexual experience here, but really about having the woman feel all the attention that she deserves and feeling desired and having all the wonderful things about her own character really reflected back to her so she can fall in love with herself again. And the reporter, she kind of feels like he's scamming women in this experience, so she really wants to do a piece on him, and she kind of blackmails him into doing an interview with her. But he strikes up a deal with her that they need to go on 3 dates before she actually does the expose on him, because he believes that if he can make her fall in love with him in 3 dates, then she shouldn't write the article so that he can protect his business. And this was such a marvelous story. I loved it so much because I fell in love with him as a character, but with her as well, because her kind of backstory, why she doesn't believe in love, why she's so jaded and so sarcastic when it comes to love, makes a lot of sense. And yeah, it was a definite 5-star read for me, one of the favorites that I've read in the first 3 months of the year, and yeah, I definitely recommend it. Next up, I picked up a paranormal fantasy, kind of a cozy read, small town almost also, I think. Uh, I don't know how to explain this story because it's kind of weird, but weird in a good way. The book is called That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon by Kimberly Lemming. And this book I've been seeing going around on Bookstagram a lot, and I have wanted to pick it up because everyone has been saying such wonderful things about it. And when I picked it up, I also picked it up on audio. I was a bit kind of intrigued by it at the beginning. I got confused a little at some point because of all the weird kind of creatures that were coming into the story. Oh, I forgot there is also an LGBTQ plus character within this book, which was also one of the prompts that we had. And I don't know how to explain the plot of the story. We have our heroine, Cinnamon, who is part of this big family that who are farmers in this small town where they live in. So she has this drunken night where on one night she kind of saves this creature, and he is a demon, or at least he's called a demon at the start, but later on we find out that he's a different kind of creature. I don't want to spoil it for you if you want to pick up this book, so I'm not going to mention what kind of a creature he is. And they immediately have this banter and back and forth together, and he kind of makes a deal with her for her to help him out, because she finds out that the cinnamon that they grow kind of helps with awakening the creatures who have been kind of brainwashed by humans. And yeah, so he kind of strikes up a deal with her that she should help him take down this entity. I don't know if she's like a goddess or a false goddess, that she has been manipulating everyone on Earth. And she agrees, and they have an amazing journey, kind of an adventure together. And yeah, it was a very fun read, a bit of a weird but cozy and funny read, also a very steamy one. I gave this one 4 stars, and if you're looking for a weird monster paranormal fantasy kind of a romance, then you should definitely pick this one up. So for the next book, I picked up a book that is with the prompt backlist book. So a book by an author whose backlist I want to start getting through, and the author is Natasha Madison. The book is called Only One Kiss, and unfortunately I didn't love this one. It does have quite a decent rating on Goodreads. It has 4.04 stars. That's why I picked it up as a first read off of her backlist of the books that I haven't read yet. But I really didn't love this one. The book is about a guy who is a hockey player. He is recently a single dad because the woman he had a baby with died in childbirth, and he really has like a very small infant, and he's looking for a nanny to help him out, but he's also looking for a social media manager because he needs one for his profiles, because he's like a big shot hockey player. And his teammates recommend the social media woman who has been managing a lot of their accounts for his social media thingy that he needs, so the marketing thingy that he needs. But it turns out that she's also great with children, so she helps him out with the child as well, even though he hires a nanny. But a lot of things didn't work for me in this story. First of all, he's the kind of alpha that I don't like anymore. So kind of almost like an outdated alpha who is trying to control what she wears and how she behaves and who she sees, and kind of wanting to present it as being possessive sexy, but to me it just didn't seem sexy, but kind of controlling. And then we had also the situation where the nanny came into play as the other woman who tries to take the man from the love interest, and I was like not for it. I just didn't like this plot twist within the book. So yeah, I gave this book 2 stars. It wasn't a favorite of mine, so yeah, I kind of want to forget that I read this book. So yeah, this was one of the books that wasn't a hit for me. Next up, I'm going to talk about the book that I did not finish, my DNF for this reading vlog or reading wrap up. I don't know what this is anymore. So the book is by Tessa Bailey. One of the prompts for this readathon was that we try out a book or give a second chance to an author that we didn't like a book of before, and Tessa Bailey's works have not worked for me at all. And I was like, okay, I need to pick up a book that hopefully will be one that I like. So I decided to try out, I think, her latest release, which is called Secretly Yours. The cover looked very cutesy, which I was like, okay, this looks promising. And then I read that it was kind of like a second chance romance, which is one of my favorite tropes. So I was like, okay, should bode well for me. And then I started reading it, and about 15% into the book, I was like, I cannot do this, because I was not involved with either of the characters. I found that I was not vibing with the hero at all. And also, like, the story between the two, just, I could not be bothered by it. So I just wasn't invested into it. So I decided to put it down and to not continue. The book, did I mention it's called Secretly Yours? I don't know if I mentioned it, but this is the title of the book. And I think that Tessa Bailey's works are just not for me. I think that this author is just not for me. I should not read any more of her books, because every time I pick up a book by this author, I'm just disappointed, and I don't want to waste any more time on books that I don't think I'm going to like. So I'm just not going to do it anymore. The next couple of prompts that I focused on for the readathon were novella, disability rep, and then a second book within a series. And the book that I focused on was Love Flushed by Evie Mitchell, and it's part of her All Access series. I love the first book within this series. It's a companion series, so I was really only bound to pick up the second book as fast as possible, honestly, because I just read the first one about a week ago. And this book focuses on our heroine who has Crohn's disease. And because of her chronic illness, she thought of an idea to start up a company for toilet paper. And the company is called Shit Happens, which I absolutely love. And she's grown it into this multi-million-dollar company, but unfortunately she's dealing with some issues with her manufacturer, so she's kind of looking for another manufacturer. And she goes back to live in her small town where she has some history with one of the guys from her high school, like kind of the love of her life. And they split up because of some reasons that are not cleared up between the two. And he actually owns a family company that is manufacturing paper, so they actually can be mutually beneficial to one another within the plot. But actually she really doesn't want to work with him because of their history. So the plot within this book I loved. The two characters within the book I loved. The disability rep within this book I absolutely loved. And the fact that, I don't know, it's kind of like we have a pining hero, we have a situation of It's Always Been You as well. I just love this book. I gave it 4 stars and I definitely recommend it. Honestly, because I don't have the prompts in front of me, I don't even remember which prompts this one covers besides 2. We have contemporary romance and a book which is over 400 pages. The book is by Karina, Halle, and it's called The Forbidden Man. And I honestly didn't know that I was going to enjoy this book so much, because I honestly didn't know too much about it. I do know that I've read a couple of Karina Halle books in the past and I did like them. I gave them 4 stars, I think, or 4.5 stars. So I was like, let me try more by this author. And I really loved it. It has a reverse age gap relationship between a physical therapist and a soccer player. And we have a very interesting, steamy, chemistry-filled romance. We have an alpha hero. We have a heroine who is very much split in decision between what is important for her now that she has a failed relationship behind her back. Does she focus on her career, or does she want to jump into another relationship? So the struggle is real within this book. We have I don't know if I would call this a slow burn, because I think they did get together with each other before the 50% mark, but because they had a lot of issues to run throughout the book, the real happily ever after comes really at the end. So yeah, it was a bit of like an angsty read. That is definitely the case. It was an angsty read. And in the audiobook, I found that the narrator, the male narrator, was fabulous, because the hero within the book is a Spaniard, and the way that he is so passionate came through the narration of the narrator in the book. So yeah, I really love this one. I gave it 4.5 stars. And then the last book that I picked up is The Escape Artist by Kitty Thomas. Actually, I think Christi had on her TBR another Kitty Thomas book that she wanted to pick up. So this was not really a book recommendation by the host, which was one of the prompts, but it is a dark romance. So this definitely covers one of the prompts within the bingo card. So yeah, I picked this one up. Again, not knowing anything about it besides the fact that it's a dark romance, and I really fell in love with it. It's a bit of a dark and twisted kind of a plot, so if you're not into dark romances, please steer away from this one, or at least check the trigger warnings for it, because it does involve a lot of dark themes. We have a captor-captive situation that gets reversed. So the heroine within the start of the book, we find out that she has been held captive for 43 days by a sick and twisted guy, and she has difficulty going back into society after those 43 days, even though a lot of time has passed since her captivity. And then on one day, she thinks she sees the guy who held her captive, so she decides that she wants to have revenge on him, and she takes him captive. But when she starts torturing him, and she starts kind of trying to settle her own feelings for what has happened with her by holding him captive, she actually finds out, or he tries to convince her that he is not the guy that she thinks he is. And a lot happens within this book. I don't want to spoil it too much for you, because obviously this is a book that is kind of banking on it being suspenseful and having a lot of twists within the book. So this is where I'm going to leave it off in terms of the plot, but I really was surprised by a lot of the things that happened within the book, as well as it was really spicy. So it was driven by a lot of different BDSM relating spicy topics, and then also on the same side it really did trigger a lot of emotional responses from both the hero and the heroine. So yeah, I appreciated the balance within those two aspects within the plot and the characters, and I gave it 4 stars. So I just went back, started counting how many books I actually managed to finish this week, and I got it wrong at the start of the video. As always, I should just stop doing that. Anyway, I finished actually 6 books within the week, and then I DNF'd 1 book, so it's a total of 7. These were all the books that I managed to finish within the readathon. Thank you so much to the wonderful ladies for organizing it, because it really allowed me to pick up all kinds of different books within a week's time. And please check out their channels and their wrap-ups and vlogs whenever they post them. I'm going to leave their handles down below. And I hope you enjoyed this wrap-up, this video with all these different types of books. I enjoyed most of them. I think I only disliked one of them, honestly. So yeah, it was a good reading experience for me, and I definitely want to participate in more readathons in the future. I hope you enjoyed this wrap-up. I hope to see you very soon in the next one. Have a wonderful, marvelous day. Happy reading. Take care, and bye-bye.